live.
Who's up first?
You are.
Here we go. So I'm Wyatt Gilmore. This is Garfield Martin. We're starting this new podcast. We're going to work together. We're going to work with friends, anybody that's helpful for any listeners or people from Facebook or wherever you find us. So we've been in the coaching space, learning for ourselves and other people, become, the next level of you, the best level of you. And Garfield Martin is always on that path of becoming the best version of himself. We both got introduced together through Elliot Hulse. We were both in the King's Transformation Program, and he's learning things at 45, and I'm learning things at 25. Both taking knowledge from the same source, and then we're spiraling it up into our own gift to the world.
Yep, absolutely. So, like Wyatt said, I'm Garfield Martin Jr. I'm in the fitness space a little bit. I was in the military for 20 years. I have 3 sons. And right now what I do is I run a Facebook group, and I have a full-time job. So that's kind of what I do part-time. But one of my goals in this space is to give back a lot of the knowledge and the information that I have learned throughout my years in the military, playing sports, running track, playing football, different things like that growing up. So like I said, yeah, me and Elliot met through Elliot. And I started following Elliot years ago, man, long time ago, probably when you was a little thing.
Yeah, we both weren't where we are now.
Yeah.
Mad growth going on.
Absolutely.
Growth. So before we got on, you were telling me you're living your best year, 45.
Yeah, I am. Man, so like I said, been in the military for 20 years. It not that it kind of restricts you, but you kind of get into the mindset where a lot of things are repetitious every day, week in, week out, year in, year out. Even though you do different things, it becomes very routine. So a lot of my thinking was very routine as well. But since I've retired from the military, and now I'm a civilian and I'm working, my perspective and just my view on life has opened up a lot. And I have a whole lot more time to myself to work on me, to, like you said, to become, a better version of me every day. And, at 45, like, I'm in some of the best shape of my life. I'm happier than I've ever been. Just a lot of different areas in my life are doing very well right now. And just like anybody else, I have my issues. I have life that happens too, but I don't necessarily let life take me over. I try my best to do something. Well, I get up every day and, I work out and take care of my body and my mind and stuff before I even go out there and face the world. So that helps a lot with the day-to-day stuff, the life stuff, But other than that, man, like I said, I'm really enjoying myself right now at 45.
That's awesome, man. Well, so when we're talking military, right, I think a lot of times, myself and other civilians that don't see the emphasis of physicality in the military, like, you just think certain people are there because they've always been like that. Do you feel like you've always been just like born to do it?
I actually never wanted to go into the military. It was never one of the things that I grew up wanting to do. I actually was anti-military. I didn't think that it was a place. I didn't think it was a place for me. I went to college and it didn't work out, so I ended up joining the military. But even though it wasn't in me, I think it was something that it really helped me. It taught me some things that I may not have grew up learning, good, bad, or indifferent.
When you thinking back to like that time before, you got molded into a soldier and you started putting like some concentration on, standards and all that stuff that you learn, it gets drilled in. How much like good days versus bad days did you have?
Oh man, back in the day, I probably had more bad days than good days. Just because, initially, well, I would say initially probably more bad days, because whenever you have change, it can be hard, because when you've been doing something, prior to the military for, 18, 19 years, and you have one way of thinking, and then someone comes in there and they tells you, no, don't think like that, think like this, and I'm like, well, I'm a whole grown person, and who are you to tell me how I should think? And so that did take some adjusting to, but I think overall what I was taught, the discipline, the ethics, the different things like that, along with other life lessons, helped me become, get to the place where I am right now. So I honestly can say that I would not be here today where I am with had it not been for a lot of those things that I've learned in the military, to include, coaching, teaching, being a leader, all of those different things, putting the mission first, different things like that. So, and even when it comes to, putting the mission first, I'm kind of spin off for a little bit, but when it comes to putting the mission first, like our body should be our mission, our body and our mind, this should be our mission. We should put that first. And a lot of times what we end up doing is we end up, nothing wrong with it, but spending so much time focused on everything on the outside. But if you take care of the inside, everything on the outside will take care of itself. But I think we try to fix everything with outside pleasures, food, TV, the internet, the cell phones, all of these things that only give us temporary pleasure. But when you actually, work out on a consistent basis and eat healthy and take care of your mind and different things like that, it's a whole lot better feeling to me, because the feeling lasts a whole lot longer. It's not that immediate gratification that you get from just eating a burger and then feeling fat and then looking in the mirror and not liking yourself. Like, all of those things come from just eating that one burger, so versus all of the weight, all of the positive things that come from, a 10-minute workout. Yeah, you might be hurting for the next couple of days, but what's going to happen after a while when you look in that mirror and you like who you see and your dress fit now, those pants fit now, you know what I mean? Like, that lasts a whole lot longer. Like, you done forgot about all those burgers you done ate, but I bet you remember every single time where you met a fitness goal and you was able to fit in a pair of pants again. I bet you remember that a whole lot more than, like I said, all of those hundreds of burgers you may have eaten in your lifetime.
Yeah. Giving up stuff sometimes gives you the best reward.
Absolutely. I give up stuff all the time. I give up time.
Yeah, do it for fun.
Money. Exactly.
You're like, how do I change? How do I challenge this again?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Get more out of me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I've only known you for like a month now, but I've only seen a happy dude.
Yeah, man. Life is great, man. Look at it like this. A lot of the stuff that we deal with and complain about are just stuff, first world problems for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, people complain because their coffee's too cold. And it's like, your coffee's too cold. Like, you can go up in Starbucks and cuss somebody out because your coffee was too cold. But that's where we are right now, as a country, as a nation, I guess. But I can't do it, man. And then I think some of it has to do with my perspective on life. Being in the military, been away, been gone. I've missed birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, weddings, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you name it, I've missed it. Been deployed, different things like that, all of the bad and negative things that you may have seen on TV or not seen on TV and may have heard about, you know, going through all of those things, family issues, all of these different things that you have. But it's like I came out of all of that, you know. Everybody who has ever went through anything and we're here today, like we're undefeated. We all came out of our situations. Yes, you may be still going through something, but for the most part, if you're still alive, it's you have came out of it some at least. So and then life is short. I lost my father a couple of years ago, and that helped me have a new outlook, new perspective on life. And then I really got intentional with finding out who I was, what my purpose was in life, and my why. And then once all of those things start coming together, it's like, really, life is really not that bad. I mean, we got it pretty good, And
What you were just saying about your dad passing away, there's I think it's in Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. He's like what was he? He was a general of, like gladiators, right? I forget. He's like a sergeant, way back then. And he wrote about fathers, like who are you going to be when your dad dies? Are you going to be able to speak at your dad's funeral? And so I read that a few years ago, and I've only thought of that during like difficult things, because it's like, if this feels difficult, is it as difficult as that? It's just not going to be that same level of difficulty.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah.
Maybe that'd be a cool thing to shed some light on, like how you got through that, where your relationship was with your dad through life and stuff, and then.
Well, we had, like most teenagers, and, when you start, starting to test your manhood, you sometimes tend to want to challenge your father. So, we went through that. We went through our phase. But for the most part, once I came out of, the space where I was at, and once he came out of the space where he was at, we both were able to be men, and we both were able to, offer something to each other that we could both benefit from, and so when he passed and stuff, I didn't have that anymore, so a lot of the males, the senior males in my family are no longer here. So I've had to, or have decided, or have started to trying to reach out to other males and other, senior males and different things like that in my senior that may have information that may be able to help me, So but yeah, man, with having him, man, was a great thing. And then when I lost him, I ended up having to, like I said, trying to find things out on my own. But one of the main things I did was I just went inward. I went real hard on me, 100%. What is wrong with me? Trying to figure out all of the things that was wrong with me, or that may have been stopping my growth, and working on trying to develop those things so I could go and be a greater person. And that's why I was talking about, as far as trying to find my purpose and stuff, I just went in 100% on myself. And one of the main things I did was I went back to fitness real hard. I went like over 100 and something days straight, every single day, got up in the morning, either ran or walked every day. And I threw on headphones, but I cut all the music off. And what I did was I put on podcasts about any and everything that was going to be beneficial to me, whether it was financial, whether it was relationship, whether it's educational, everything that was going to help me and benefit me or make me a better person, mindfulness, all of these different things I was doing. And when I came out of all of that stuff, it was like life became a whole lot more clear. And from there, I've been able to keep building on that, every day, up in the morning, four-ish, working out, running. And man, it's so beneficial in so many different ways. Like I'll never go back to, a couch potato. I've never really been a couch potato, but I can't imagine just not doing that. When I take days off, here and there, or I have a little injury or something that I need to rest, that time away from doing the things that I want to do kind of sucks, So
Sometimes you need that break though. And I bet like during that time, right, it's probably pretty safe to say your energy was like coming inwards, and then as you got out of it, you got some energy going, and then you're like, I got to make sure I'm doing good stuff. What was like your dad's quality of life like towards the end?
Let's see. He wasn't where he necessarily wanted to be. He my dad dealt with a lot of personal things growing up, starting off from a very early age. Some demons and different things like that he had to deal with, or that he struggled with, his on and on, off again, and on and off his entire life. So things he kind of lived, some of the things were kind of roller coasterish, where he would have good seasons and bad seasons and different things like that. But I think, for the most part, mentally, when he left, I think he was in a really good, I think his quality of life mentally was really good.
That's awesome. So you had some good connection with him towards the end.
Oh yeah.
See him off.
Me and him were really tight. Like he was the dude that I would call, like when I had, take trips, like hour-long trips and different things like that. Like there was the dude I called, talk to, because he was a talker and I'm a talker. So it was, we both benefited from that. So, but sometimes I would have to cut him off. I'm like, all right, Dad, I got like 10 minutes left and then I got to roll. So, but then once he passed, I don't have those, I didn't have the same thing. I don't have that person anymore. So
I think like where to go from that. It was nice. And it probably like it's I don't know, whoever's listening to this, if they're dealing with grief and stuff, it's kind of nice to see what you've done with that, right? It's like you take that experience and you go do something, or I mean, for a certain amount of time, the grief is going to just kind of be like where you live for a little while.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be in your grief. I think it's okay to mourn. I think it's okay to do all of those things, however, you still do have to live. Like, and that person would more than likely not want you to spiral downward for the rest of your life because they're no longer here, So what part of my goal is, and part of what I want to do in life, is to take the information that I did learn from him and then pass it on. Because I learned a lot from him, a whole lot of stuff. And, with that information and information that I've learned, how can I take this information and give it to, someone else, some young man who may need it, so to help bridge that gap. Because, a lot of young men nowadays have been raised by, single women and different things like that, which has kind of hurt their masculinity in certain ways and different things like that. So Um, it is what it is. But for me, man, a lot of that, comes back down to fitness, man, because it's almost like a chicken and egg, a circle type thing. Because it's like, like when you get up in the morning to work out, like mentally, you're like, oh my goodness, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You got to have that mental. You got to be mentally able to get up in the morning and do that, right? And then you got to have that mental capacity to be able to work out, right? At 4:30 in the morning, right? And then you got to have it physically to work out. So that means that prior to, you had to make sure you eat right, had a good night's sleep, all these different things. So now after you get a good physical workout, you feel better about yourself. You look better about yourself. Your skin starts clearing up. You know what I mean? Your hair starts looking better and everything like that. So now that you physically look better, it goes back to your mental again, to where now you feel better about yourself. And the cycle just keeps repeating itself. But I think what happens is a lot of times is people don't stay in the cycle. They don't practice that consistency. And like for me, consistency doesn't necessarily mean you have to go 7 days a week. Consistency can just be, if I got a workout plan that's 4 days a week, I just do my 4 days a week consistently every week. And if you do that consistently every week, you will see your results.
With that too, with the consistency thing, just like when we're talking about the emotions of all that difficult stuff, it's like all that stuff is going to go on each week with all different aspects, with work, with relationships, all this stuff. And you're going to catch that moment. And maybe you don't feel like working out because of the stress, but then eventually you'll be like, dude, I'm going to fuel my workout with this. Like you're going to honor that stress in a purposeful way rather than just getting blown back by it.
Mm-hmm. And that comes back down to being intentional too. It's like a lot of people stress about the workout. I know I stress about workouts when I have to work out in the evening, because what I'll do sometimes, I will procrastinate. I will make an appointment. I will do something, or I just feel like it. I just feel lazy and just don't want to work out. So being intentional and scheduling it is part of my morning routine. Now, it's a lot easier. Do I have challenges days? Do I have days where I just don't want to get up? Yeah. Do I have days where I don't get up? Yes. But for the most part, 9 times out of 10 at 4:30, I'm up and I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be doing something, So, and it just helps. And I know that everybody is not a 4 o'clock person, and I'm never going to say that this is the only way to get it done. There are a whole bunch of people who are in way better shape mentally and physically, financially, and everything, and they don't do the 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's why it's so important to spend time learning about yourself in those dark moments or whatever, in those dark times, or those dark spaces alone, so you'll know what works best for you. I know that working out in the evening is going to cause me stress. So I don't work out in the evening. If you know that you're going to dread working out in the morning and getting up in the morning, don't do it. Work out in the evening. It's okay. You know what I mean?
I don't know many people that are like definitely evening people that made themselves into a morning person. I think that's it. You work with where you're at, right? So if you're an evening person, it might happen at 6 and after work. But for me, I know that's not going to happen.
Well, here's why. But you know what? I'm going to challenge you on that, Wyatt. And here's why. If you had to get up, so do you consider yourself a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
A morning person. All right. So you don't have no problem getting up in the morning?
No.
All right. So what if there was $1 million client or $1 million ticket or $1 million something, and you had to be an evening person? Would you be an evening person?
Yeah, you gotta. It's that fortitude of like, it's you don't enjoy it every morning.
You don't enjoy it. Yeah.
You have to make it enjoyable. But you don't wake up and go, oh, great, it's going to be so much fun to go do this workout at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., whenever you fit it in. But now chances are that off time that you have that is like, all right, after 5 o'clock, I want to be chilling. If you have to put it on, you probably are just like good at greasing that wheel. I know that's for me. Like, but you know, growing up, if I wasn't I noticed like the on season and the off season, right? Like I didn't really have like a complete end season where like I wasn't training something, but I think that's because I noticed if like sports ended and I stopped, for whatever reason, those months sucked.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel good, you know. And obviously, you get influenced by stuff, and maybe for whatever reason, in certain people's life, like they didn't get influenced like that. But it doesn't say that you can't.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, because like for me, I've always, you know, got up in the morning. I've been in the military, so that was the thing to do. So I'm just trained to do that. And then, like you said, like in the evening time, like I want to chill. Like I don't want to be thinking about having to work out, especially if I know it's a rough day or leg day or something. Let me do that in the morning so I can walk around with you know, wobbling the rest for the next 2 hours, you know. So I don't mind that, but yeah, absolutely.
Well, like I used to do boxing in the evening, and I'm like, if this could be in the middle of the day, I'd probably perform better, you know. But that's when the gym is around, and that's when the coaches are there, and that's when like you'll get the most benefit out of if you're trying to do events and stuff. So you got to go to the gym, or maybe pick the times when you train other times, and then get in the gym when the lights are on. Like you have those people that'll help you along, but that's one of those things you just have to do, you know?
Yeah. So I got a question. I heard people talk about working out in the morning empty versus working out like in the evening. So I've heard some trainers say that they only recommend their clients to work out in the morning time. And I've heard other clients say, well, I prefer to have my clients work out with, you know, more with, you know, on a full stomach after they've had some meals in their body and stuff like that. Like, do you have a preference? Because like I know the reason why I'm asking is like, it's like for me, I can't eat before I work out. I used to, but I can't. Like if I have a sip of water and I'm doing burpees, I mean that little bit of water, sip of water is coming up. So I can't work out on a full stomach. I can only, like, that's why I work out in the morning too. I mean, if I eat and a couple hours go by, I'm fine. But that's why another reason why I work out in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, I play around with all of that, right? It's like if I'm doing strength, I think it goes off of what goal you're working on at the moment. If we're working on power and strength, it might be your best results in the evening after you've had protein and you've had some meals, like not directly after a meal, right? But since you have all that stuff in you, your output is going to be higher. But then in the morning time, I think it's that mental toughness that grows more so. And like if you're doing cardio and like you know, muscle endurance kind of things in the morning, that usually feels right at that time, you know, to be like light on your feet, ride the bike or whatever. I think it goes off of what you're training. But at the end of the day, right, like in the military, sorry, yeah, we're training power at 4 a.m., buddy.
Yeah, that's it. Every morning, 6:30 every day, 6:30 for 20 years, man.
With that being said, though, I mean, the PT in the military, if you follow it, like you've had to, right? It's a lot of that. It's muscle endurance, and then I'm sure they test for power output, but it's not it seems like by no means is it the standard is like you need this crazy bench press, crazy squats. That's just added on to you.
But
right? Like you choose if you do that.
You choose all of that. When I was I think from what I've heard, it's changed. I retired in 2017. And when I retired, it was 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and you know, the 2-mile run. And I think to max the run may have been, I think for 17 to 21, right around like, I want to say like 15:54, 15:56. So under 16 minutes. So right around 8-minute miles. But I would say it like this, the PT in the military has a lot to do with who's in charge of the PT program. You can go to some PT programs and they have awesome PT. Everybody's studs and everybody's everything. And then you can go to other ones and it's the total opposite. So a lot of it has to do with who's in charge of that PT program. So I actually taught ROTC at NC State for a few years, and I had almost all studs. Like the max you can get was 300, right? And anything over that you considered with on the extended scale. And I remember for like one class, we had like half the students that were on the extended scale, like doing way more than what they had to, you know. And I mean, these dudes was, and females, they were studs. Like I used to be like, man, I mean, they running like 10-minute 2 miles. I was like, man, this dude's still running today, you know. So yeah, it kind of depends on where you're at and who's kind of in charge. But at the end of the day, even if the program is not that good, it's still it is still usually good enough to where people can maintain their level of fitness, you know. So are you going to be, you know, Lou Ferrigno or Lee Haney or, you know, Ronnie Coleman? No. Or CrossFitter? No. But you should be able to pass your physical fitness test every 6 months or so.
Those are nice. Those are great. I've been working those in. We were talking about that before, but I've been working in those because it's like, that's that longevity, you know, that's what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. And then you add in weights, you add in different things as you kind of get the impulse to do it. And now you're in shape for so long that it's exciting to be like, oh, I'm going to do some stuff I haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
You get all these options.
Yeah, when you're in shape, you get to experiment more with fitness. You know, I mean, you get to do more stuff. You know, like I have a pretty solid foundation, but like mostly what I do now is like 10-minute workouts. That's like the bulk of most of my workout is 10 minutes, like 10-minute AMRAPs, which stands for as many rounds as possible, and a walk, run, or a ruck every day. You know, and I kind of right now I'll walk one day, I'll ruck the next day, and then I'll run the next day. And I just keep that up for 7 days in a row. That in 10 minutes, a 10-minute workout. And, you know, and I eat pretty clean, eat pretty healthy about 85% of the time. And that's my diet and that's my fitness plan. You know what I mean?
I got a question here. So with guys in the military, do you notice like any kind of do you notice the stress of the job get more so on the people that maybe they're only doing it when it's required of them? Like, do they start to obviously it's part of the deal there, but the people that find it tough don't even know they're there. Do you see that, like, maybe they just their presence, their attention, do those guys end up with like some mental, what am I saying here? Like does it wear on them more than somebody that's like maybe enjoying it more, the training, and like just really with it?
Oh, I would say yes. I don't know as far as the mental health part of it, but you know, anytime you're doing something that you don't necessarily want to do versus something that you're kind of excited to do, you know, I feel like that's something that kind of comes along with it. And you do see those people in the military. You see both sides of it. You know, you see people who are way up here mentally and physically, and then you see people who are way down here, and then you see everybody in between. And the thing about it in the military, or, you know, anytime you're in, you know, certain spaces like that, in certain competitive spaces like that, you're going to see that, you know. And because the military is competitive. For those who want to compete, you can compete, and you can go to the top, or you cannot compete. You know, where your end goal and where you end up in the military, for the most part, probably 95% of it has to do with you and what you decide to do. You know, most of the time, like if you get kicked out of the military, it's something that you did, you know. I mean, it's not hard to stay in the military for 20 years, in my personal opinion. Well, actually, let me back it up. It is hard. It's extremely difficult and challenging to stay in for 20 years because you have to go through all of it. There's a lot of mental stuff to go through, physical stuff, a lot of stressors and different things like that. But, just like with anything else, you got to look at the goal. What's your goal? If I would have got out and not did 20, I still would have had many of those same stressors. The only difference is I wouldn't have, deployed to Iraq or anything, but I would have had a lot of the same stressors that we have in military. May not like your boss, may not necessarily like your job, may not necessarily like the people you work with. I mean, the building you work in may not be the best. The pay may not be the best. All of the things that you can think of as a civilian, we deal with in the military as well, on top of being separated from our families. And I can just say that right there. And that's enough. And that's something that most 99% of the population never really deals with, having
to go home at night.
Yeah, to go home every night.
Have dinner.
Yeah, but you see when you get them orders and they say that y'all leaving in 6 months and y'all going to be gone for 15 months, that next 6 months that you have with your family becomes a lot more valuable. That time that you have becomes a lot more valuable. But here's the deal: you don't get to have a lot of that time because you got to train up to go to defend your country. So not only, and it's no good, bad, or different. It's just it's what has to happen. If people are to be trained and be proficient at their craft and their skills and their jobs when the country wants us to go to deploy, then that's part of the sacrifice that comes with it. Is those few months up until that time, we may not be able to spend a lot of time together as my family. Oh, and by the way, I'm never guaranteed to come back. So, and then the families back here, they have those stressors and stuff too. So which kind of brings me back to fitness again. When we were for me, everything kind of sort of comes back to fitness. So when we were in Iraq, I had this this NCO that I used to work with named was Sergeant Soto. And Sergeant Soto, I think he's a major now. He switched over, but Sergeant Soto was the bomb. This was my second deployment, and every day it was routine. And this is what we do. I used to get up, go to work. After work, me and Sergeant Soto would go to the gym, and we would start doing CrossFit and work out. And that's what we did, like the whole deployment. But being able to have, him, another male figure, that's in the same space, that was into fitness and, working out and stuff like this. We used to eat well. But then on Sundays, like our Sunday was our rule. We could eat whatever we wanted on Sunday. So we would pig out on Sundays. But we stayed consistent. Like we lost weight. Like our PT scores went up. Like physically, we were in really great shape. Both of us were, and we still connected on social media and everything. So but being able to have something to do with our time while we were deployed, being away from our our wives and families and different things like that at the time was, it was a relief. It was a way to get away. So.
And it's funny too, because it's like the fitness for most everybody's like, it ends up being a way to feel better and all that stuff. But at first it's like, why would I want to go push myself? Why would I going to do that? I'm pushing myself over here in this area. But it's like, this is why I believe this too. If it's tough now, you can always change that, because most everybody grows up with recess. Mm-hmm. So at one point, running, jumping, pushing, pulling, twisting, yelling, all this was fun to you, and it was just natural to go.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens in between then and where you are now, so you just out of sight, out of mind. It's just not a habit.
And I think a lot of people associate working out and fitness with hard, but it's not. I mean, there are parts that it is challenging, it's difficult, but it's only as hard as you make it. You know what I mean? It's I've seen people lose, 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds walking. Walking is not hard. It's just being consistent and actually just getting out there and doing it. You know what I mean? But fitness and certain people in the fitness space can make it look like that, and then people have an issue sometimes with how people look. If you look like big swole guy, because I don't want to look like that. And if you look like that, they assume that if you look like that and if you work out with that person, then you're going to look like that too. And that's not true. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you work out, you should be working out and doing stuff that you enjoy doing. Anyway, if you like being outside, then walk. If you like nature, be outside and walk. Like, no one is saying you have to be out there, in all your running gear, with all the new running gear and everything like that, panting and sweating for 3 hours. No, be outside, go take pictures if that's what you like to do. Spend an hour outside every day taking pictures, walking around the forest or something. You'll get some exercise in. You got a whole hour of moving your body, so I think it's important for people to understand that, fitness don't have to be hard. It don't have to be boring. It can be a lot of fun.
This get you a group of people. To coaches as well. Coaches sometimes, if you're in that competitive environment and you're maybe not seeing the goal as that, like maybe you're playing basketball, and then, this is what happened personally to me too. It was like, I want to win, I want to do well, but then all of a sudden we're getting punished for, if we every turnover we have, we're running suicides for it. And it's like, are we attracting now, or are we playing basketball? Because the best way to get better at something is playing that thing, right? So if we're going to prevent that, well, shouldn't we set up some drills and figure out what pass to throw when we're at half court, or if we're at the baseline? So then how to prepare, like what pass is best if we're going where, right? So now you have these goals, but what often happens is like some townie that used to play basketball on the team is the head coach. Yeah. And now what's going on with that, right? It's like he's just at his level, and now we all have to fit into his thing. And it's no different with the military. And it's also, that's exactly what you're going to do, is you're either going to overcome that, or you're going to leave fitness right there, because that gym class sucked because the gym teacher sucked. You leave it all with the coach. If he decided to run you every practice doing up and backs, it's like, it's over. Yeah. Yeah. I got to get creative amongst all of it, no matter what.
Yeah. Oh, I never played basketball. I played football. I ran track.
Did you have that, right? You had like fitness as a punishment with it.
What's that?
You had fitness with like a punishment with football.
They have fitness with a punishment?
Yeah, for football, like if your team was screwing up, or like it wasn't going well, maybe that next practice is like, we're on the bus ride home, everybody's got to be quiet, stuff like that.
They used to. And I remember one thing, and I don't know, like, I've coached some Pop Warners. I've coached some little kids before, and I never understood why coaches will make players run laps for being late to practice. And I'm like, these kids are 8. They don't have a car. Like, and I don't know, maybe because I've never been an elite coach in football or anything, that I don't understand it. But I just never understood how you punish the kid for something they have no control over, and I feel like that's a parent issue, not the child issue.
Yeah.
But I think when I've asked, I think I asked about it once, and it says something about parents are more likely to bring their child to practice on time if they know that their child may have to run laps or something.
Jeez.
But if I'm running late to work and my child's like, Dad, I need to get to work. I need to get to practice. Well, if I'm not there and I'm running late to work, it's not any of his fault. But anyway, that is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like at least from my experience, right, with fitness, a bunch of coaches have that in mind. And I think that they see that maybe glorified in the movies, or probably this, right? We passed the buck, and that's how they were coached. How their coaches were is exactly how maybe they're bringing that style in. But there's this thing too, like Phil Jackson, he's all about good vibes. He's all about good vibes, meditation, relaxation. Like, how do you make a stressful situation cool? And it just so happens, he had two of the best clutch players of all time, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, right? And it's like he got the whole team relaxed enough that when there's like 5 seconds on the clock, everybody knows where they have to fill their role. And he didn't make it like a punishment if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got to talk about this. We got to think around the problem. But then you see, like, I don't know, there's probably better examples than I can think of at the moment where, I mean, they're throwing the clipboard and they're all pissed at their own team. And it's like, is that the most productive way to use the energy? Because are you gonna stifle somebody's talents by like this reaction,
I like what you said about this is the best, pretty much the best use of your energy. I was talking to somebody earlier and they was talking about how they had missed a workout or two. And I was like, okay, it's okay. You can work out again tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. We were texting earlier and I'm just like, dude, like, that's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, you are aware of it. You've already held yourself accountable for missing the workout. Now go on and tomorrow you can reset and not miss the workout. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times we beat ourselves up about, missing a workout or something like this. And I think it's okay to be to hold yourself accountable and to acknowledge the fact that you did miss your workout, but I think it's also what happens sometimes is people beat themselves up so much about that, when they do fall off the wagon. Like, I fell off the wagon, last month for like 9 days, and I was like, what the heck, but since I go 7 days a week, I had went like 68 days straight. So, and because I have, I've learned a lot of self-awareness and different things like that about myself, I felt like, I knew at that time that was my body telling me that I just needed a break. So I took about 9 days off. I took 9 days off, and then I was able to, reshift, reset, and then go back. But it was hard. And then got back on it, started doing burpees and stuff, and then had a little injury, had a little snag. So I just got back working out again yesterday. But, I'm okay with it. The hard thing about the injuries and stuff like that, especially being 45 and stuff, is that you got to be a lot more careful. See, when I was your age, man, please, I was going and going and going. I was like the Energizer Bunny. Like, I get hurt, I fall down. I'm like a bot bag. I get right back up. But now, and then I've had back surgery already. So for me, it's when I am injured or I do have, a little tweak or something, I have to make sure that I'm really close to, physically a lot better. I have to heal a lot more now. You know what I mean? And I have to make sure that I am healed, because I don't, if I hurt myself, it's going, even though I'm 45, I'm not like old or anything. I'm not 25 either, and the military life has added a few years and, different things on my life too. So I'm aware of all of those things. So now I am a lot more conscious of when I do get injuries to actually take the time off. Now, back in the day, if I was your age, I ain't taking no time off. I'm still going.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended up with back surgery, though. I didn't take care of myself.
Yeah, this is a juicy topic right here. That rise and fall amongst the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we're not going to escape this without some tweaks and twinges and, like, I don't know, wrong footing and twisting something. Like, we're not going to get there.
Yep, going to happen.
It's really exploits the head game.
Oh, absolutely.
I had ankle problems all through basketball, and it limited how much I liked running, or I had to change the style of play, but like I've moved around it. But I know a bunch of people who leave it in the past because they're spraining their ankles. And it's like, well, you got to play different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't stop playing.
Yep.
You could still do something. You could even shoot free throws. You could just walk and shoot free throws, like if you had to. If you really had, like, you couldn't jog anymore at all, you know, you could still do a little something. It's what we've gotten here is like the accumulation effect that you see over enough time. And what do you think? I think it's 3-4 months. You'll see a good accumulation from where you are now if you just stay with it.
Oh man,
you got to hold out for 3-4 months and you'll be good.
Yeah, I don't even really. Yeah, I think that's right around the time, mentally too, when people start kind of really grabbing it too, right around that time. Because you know how many times most people have probably done a 30-day, done something for 30 days, or being considered 30 days or 60 days. When you get into 90 days and 120 days. A lot of times for people, that's uncharted territory. So, and then their body have been doing that for 3 to 4 months now. So their body's used to the consistency. The body is cooperating now. The mentally, you know, they're starting to look at things. They're starting to, you know, the eyes are probably starting to open up. You know, they're probably starting to look in the mirror and, you know, things are probably starting to feel a little bit, you know, more loose on them and all these different things. You know, so yeah, I think that once it start getting around that point, the 3 to 4 month mark, I think it's really good for people. I think like you said, can you hold out for 3 to 4 months to stick it out? Because it's gonna be hard. Because like I said, it's in uncharted territory. But if you get there and you can stay there and maintain there, it's just gonna keep going and going and going. You're just gonna keep benefiting because you got a really good solid base and foundation that you can just keep continuing to build off of. But that's why
I was reading something too. You got it.
That's why the gyms are packed in January and empty in March. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, like you know, and even with motivation, I'm not a big proponent of motivation. I think motivation has its purpose. I think it has its place. But when the motivation goes away, when your partner don't show up for that workout, when you oversleep and you don't have an hour to work out and you only got 30 minutes, are you still going to work out for 30 minutes? Are you going to say, forget it and go back to bed? You know, all of those outside motivation is okay. It's good. It has, like I said, it has its purpose. But if you don't have the discipline and the consistency and the work ethic and stuff like this, you're gonna be on a struggle bus.
Get off that bus, man. Get off
the bus. Yeah, can't be on.
We both like Joe Rogan, and he said something that like I thought exactly of myself. He's like, if I only worked out the days I was motivated, I'd be the most like out of shape. Exactly. Because I'm the most motivated person.
Yep.
Because it's the opposite. It's like, I'm going to do this even though I feel like I can't or like I don't want to do it today. But if you just do the smallest amount, where would you be in 4 months if you did that?
And check this out. You're only in it for that amount of time, right? So if you work out for 30 minutes a day, every day, you're only in it for 30 minutes. You got 23 and a half of the hours where you're not in it.
Yeah, don't even have to think about it.
Exactly. But the benefits and the payoff that you get from doing those 30 minutes every day, so good. It's like investing or like, you know, anything else.
With dudes and fitness, right? I mean, I talk to a lot of guys. And one of the things that comes up when they start putting on some pounds in the middle there, it's not like everybody's going to get it if they are overweight, but they start getting like a erectile dysfunction problems with that. And it's like, don't you want to enjoy yourself? Exactly. This is a small cost to be able to maintain some of that enjoyment, right?
Exactly.
I mean, why would you put that off?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the benefits of working out and staying healthy and stuff like that are so good. And I'm sure that there are always going to be, you know, a select amount of people who will have a lot of the benefits without working out, you know what I mean? But there's a reason why we have a large number of mental health issues in this country. And coincidentally or not, we have a large population of overweight people. So
nowadays we're making it easier to accept it and not go, hey, like, listen, you cannot get a plaque-filled heart if you just do 30 minutes of walking a day.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we trying to accept that we're running right into a brick wall? It's like, no, you can just reroute and help the future of this. And like,
I think it's easier to, I think it's because it's easier to just not do anything. You know, I think, you know, we naturally want to take the path of least resistance. So if it's easier to sit down on the couch and do nothing, I'd rather do that than get up and go work out. And I'm not saying that, you know, everybody needs to work out and do all these different things, but I think if we look primally, we moved our bodies on a regular basis, and because we don't move around as much, that's part of the things that contribute to it. Yes, food, but at the end of the day, most of us are responsible for what we put in our mouth. It doesn't necessarily cost more to eat healthy if you're looking at the value of what you're spending your money on. You know, that dollar honey bun with no nutritional value versus that dollar apple with a whole bunch of nutritional value. You know, it is what it is, you know. So I get it. And I also understand that everybody's not going to be, you know, everybody's not going to jump on the train. Everybody's not going to drink the Kool-Aid. But it is what it is. Yeah. I think that, I think a lot of it, people just don't, I think a lot of it has to, I think fitness in itself is mindset. You know, I think a lot of it is mindset, you know, and then you have to be able to look at yourself. Like for me, and you have to have a purpose or a reason why. I think a lot of people say, I just want to work out. I just want to be in shape. Okay, well, what does in shape look like? What does working out look like? What does eating healthy look like? A lot of people think it's just, you know, if you're trying to get big, it's, you know, rice and chicken and spinach, you know, and broccoli, you know, and fish. And if you're trying to lose, it's a bunch of salads, lemon juice, and water, you know, and no one wants to eat that boring food. But, you know, the more consistent you are with your eating, you know, and you're working out, the more you can cheat or eat other stuff, you know. So
well, and we were talking about this. This is a good hack, right? If your thing is soda, will you only get the soda after you do this? This is psychology, positive reinforcement 101. Yeah, you do this thing that sucks so you can do this that you really want. You do it after you do something hard and difficult. And if you always do that, you're probably setting yourself up for a good path. It's like now every time you're getting that Coke, if you don't do a run, like you're going to be like, something's missing here. Or eventually you'll probably like running more because hormonally you're like, oh, I'm going to get a snack after this. And then eventually you just ditch the snack and you just like to run all of a sudden out of nowhere. If you're a food junkie, then do that.
Yeah, exactly. Most people always look for rewards from everybody else, but we don't want to reward ourselves. You know, if you put in a good workout and you've been consistent, ain't no wrong with rewarding yourself. But you know, you have to be self-aware and limit yourself to what you know you can be able to handle. And that's why I say everything is mindset. If you don't take care of your mind, you be wasting your time. You know, you're going to be on a roller coaster. You're going to be like, if you don't take care of your mind, like, you're going to be wasting your time like for years and years, and you're going to be on that roller coaster forever. And I've seen people on that roller coaster, and sometimes they own it and they climbing that hill, and they're on the top of that first hill, and they crash down hard. You know what I mean? Then they up, and then they down, then they in this turn, and then they on this diet now, then they on this plan now, and they're with this new trainer now, and they never really get consistent.
Never getting there. Constantly never getting there. Something that we both read up on about like with meditation, right? Because we're talking mindset about this. It's like, yeah, you have the actions that you do, but then it's also like how you rethink problems. And meditation, we got to look at it as just the benefits of objectivity when we're passing through emotional content, it's like, this is just a signal that we got to do something. And if we do it right here, it's one thing. And then if we let it build, it's like this whole rage or whatever kind of like monster that comes up.
Yeah.
And then the thing too, that like, I think meditation starts to be that same thing with how fitness is like tough to do, even though, here's a little quote, right? It's like, I forget who says it, but the easy things are easy not to do. And then with meditation, I think it's that people are looking for something that they've never experienced. It's like foreign to them because it's just like daily stress. It's just this or that. And you read different things about meditation that seems so otherworldly.
Yeah.
But it's that when you're objective about how your life's going and you just view it, and then there's the emotional stuff coming up, you're going to get these little drops of knowledge about how to reroute the problem. But the emotional thing is going to pass by you, like detect it. And now you're excited about the future direction because you're in charge, rather than like letting this emotion guide the ship. You go, what's helpful? How do I want to feel for the next week or whatever? That zoom out, right? And I think like pretty much everybody that goes through the military gets this like that goal mindset, and that's the only mindset that works. Because if you're too narrow focused, you're just not going to be able to last 20 years of doing this stuff and seeing what you see. You need a bigger goal, a bigger vision for yourself and everybody else. And it's like, we can all use that. And it's just sitting there and checking off of social media, checking off of work and responsibilities. Don't be the taskmaster and go, is this what I want to be doing? Check in daily. If you don't check in daily, and like the second your head hits the pillow and you haven't been doing it, you have a lot of shit you're thinking of and worrying about, and nothing's changing. You're just gonna go do the same things you don't like doing.
Yeah, and people do it. They're in that circle of life. Yeah, that's all. Like you said, that's all mindset, man. Like mindset, that structure in the military. Being able to do that, like, man, the military, boy. Ooh, I got some stories about that.
What's coming to mind?
Well, it was kind of a negative one, so I don't want to talk about that one. But just here's one. I will talk about this one. I got a friend, and when we was in Korea, man, we used to work out all the time. He was young, so he was about 20 years old, and he's like, "Come on, Sergeant Martin, man, let's go do some muscle ups." I was like, "Man, I don't know how to do muscle ups," but I guess what I'm saying is like, I guess sometimes the connection between older people and younger people. He was about 20 years old, and he was really into fitness. But by him being so young and into fitness, it kind of sparked me to be more into fitness too. And like, we used to work out together all the time. Like, he was way stronger than me, and he was faster than me and stuff. But I was in charge of him. So, but there were still some things that the old bull still could do better than the young bull. So but I was just thinking about him, because it was just, sometimes, he was a really good person in my life and stuff like that. During that space in my life, we were really good for each other during that time. I think we both added a lot of value to him, and actually I'm gonna give him a shout out. He actually, I'm not going to shout him out of privacy of his family, but I want to say I would like to. But anyway, he was, with fitness and stuff like that, man. In the military, I developed a lot of great relationships and stuff like that, and I think it's in fitness. It's good to have people like that too, that you can surround yourself with, that are going through some of the same fitness issues that you may struggle with, the getting up in the early morning, the eating and stuff like that. And because I had him and he had me, we both were able to meet our goals together. I say that to say this. At the end of the day, we still got to get it on our own. You know what I mean? Because when he got out of the military and went here, and I went out of the military and I went here, we had to get it on our own. You know what I mean? And that's why the motivation is okay, but it's not as important as the discipline and stuff. And you have to, at some point, recognize and be aware that, you know what, at the end of the day, this is my journey and I got to get it for myself, you know, and have to stop, you know, necessarily looking for everybody to help us. Now, what I mean by that is this. Now, initially, I believe that before you start paying for somebody, you need to at least start a habit. That's my personal opinion. But eventually, at some point, you need to start paying somebody, because if you're 30, 40, 20, however far it is, if you haven't gotten it yourself, you're probably not going to get it. And at some point, you need to invest that time and get that one-on-one with somebody who's going to actually help you and walk you through that process. We will go to, you know, I don't want to get too big on my soapbox, but I would say this: we will pay to have anybody do anything for us, but one of the few things that we don't want to pay for is for somebody to come and get us in shape. And that's one of the biggest things that we should be spending our money on, is our health and our fitness. Because if we want to be around here for our kids and grandkids and stuff like that, and be able to have a good and decent quality of life, no matter how much money you got, if you die, you'd be a multi-billionaire and you die at 50, you really have a good quality of life? You know what I mean? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But if I don't want to leave at 50. I'd rather leave at 90 or 100 and then be able to be there so my kids can have conversations with their dad, so my grandkids can have conversations with their grandfather, so my great-grandkids can have conversations with their great-grandfather. That's why I'm consistently, you know, with this. I'm being consistent with this every day. That's part of my why. That's part of the reason why I do what I do, because it's a lot bigger than me. And just like how you talked about in the military, we are like that in the military, because it's not about us first. It's about the mission first. The protection of the country is our number one responsibility. That's what we do. That's what we signed up for, is to protect and serve. So everything that goes along with protect and serve is what we have to do. I am not first. If me and Wyatt are together, I got to protect Wyatt, and Wyatt is thinking about protecting me. That's what we out there doing. You know what I mean? So Wyatt can go back home to his family. So Garfield can go back home to his family. That's what we do. So because part of the reason why I think the military, we have the best military, is because of that mindset. You know, it's about the other person, how we look at the other person alone. We put the mission first, but we put the mission first partly because it's something else other, like you said, that's bigger than us. You know what I mean? It's about everything, protect and serve. So part of protect and serve is protecting and serving the buddy to my left and right, because just because he's in the military, he's still a citizen for the most part. You know what I mean? He is, but there are some people who are not. They get green card stuff, but it's a whole different thing. But he's a citizen too, so I got to protect and serve him too. You know, yeah. So, and that's why, like with fitness and stuff, we have to be our mission. You know what I mean? Like, as far as our fitness, because there may not always be someone around to help you. And if you don't find it on your own, it's going to be hard, you know. But everybody, you know, some people got it. Some people, you got money, you always have somebody to pay, and they always have a trainer and stuff like that. But most people won't. The average person won't be able to afford a trainer their entire life.
With the self-reliance of this too, it's like if something's going on that directly affects you and you can just run the other way, you're free, you're gone. The situation's over.
Yep.
If you haven't been running, you have to stand and fight. And now if you can win, like you win the battle, but now the war is, maybe you get in trouble because of it. It's like, so did you really win?
Yeah, did you? Yeah.
Because maybe somebody else's opinion says it wasn't self-defense or something. I don't know. Yep. But the other thing is that self-sovereignty, right? If something were to go wrong, that you could take care of yourself and other people. I mean, you got to be able to do that as a dad or a boyfriend or just a single guy. It's like, you got to be able to help your family. If a tree falls, who's cutting it up?
Exactly.
It should be you, right? Like, why would you have to call somebody else to do that?
Yeah, cut it yourself. Cut
it yourself, man. It'll be good for you in a bunch of ways, right?
I cut mine myself when it came down a couple years ago, and I didn't have a chainsaw. I wanted to buy a chainsaw, but I was just like, no. I said, I'm a man. I said, I'm gonna cut this with the saw, and I cut it all. I chopped it all up with the saw. It was a long pine tree too. Yep. It took a little while. It took a little while. It is.
I think too, when we're talking about mindset, mental health, physique, and then the lack of people wanting to like jump on board, right? The most common like discussion at the doctor's office is like, oh, we haven't lost weight, we should do that, right? And it's like whether he's really going to help you, right? The doctor, if they're really going to help you or not, they're just going to bring up that you should, and people push it off. It's that thing. It's like it's a should and it's not a must. And the thing comes down to, I think especially for men, right, is that it feels like something you should have under your belt. Feels like something that like you don't want to bring other people in on. It's too vulnerable, and like you don't want to feel like less of a dude because you're not in shape and all this shit. And it's like, well, the longer that you hold yourself off from changing, the more you're gonna feel like that. And what else could be of you if you just got beyond it? And in literally 5-6 months that you could be over this whole thing, be on a different path.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wow, where was I? Like I was in here. And I mean, it's a life evolution. Like if you do 6 months of really good work, do 3 months of real good work, you still got stuff to work on because you have insecurities of this old mold. It's constant pulling back that onion and just being like, all right, is this serving me? No? Okay. Well, maybe we got to figure out how to piece it together.
Yeah.
I think men have a tough time with that. Like looking to each other for help. Like, but if you just did that, where could you be? Right. It's like if I was too scared because I'm a coach, but I haven't been in the military to talk to you, then we don't get to help other people.
Exactly.
Well, then what's our goal? Compete with each other, or are we competing with that people need help? So then, all right, cool. So put your thing away, right? Like put your whole problem with your self-judgment. Self-judgment's getting way too out of control. And I think part of it is like we're constantly looking at ourselves with the phones and stuff. There's just like unless you work in a manual labor job, there's pretty much everybody's looking at you. And then like corporate is designed with looking a certain way and stuff. And it's like, get away from looks, dude.
Yeah.
Be effective. Don't be right. And I think like everybody wants to be right with that. We look good. It's like, yeah, well, maybe you look okay, but you feel like shit. So now you're lost.
Like, I mean, it's a total package, like you said, mind, body, and soul. Like you want to look good, you want to feel good, and you want to be able to enjoy what you do every day. You want to have a good quality of life, and I personally think good quality of life starts with the person on the inside of you. Like if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't feel good about yourself, no matter, I mean, I wonder if people just say, oh man, I just care so much about everybody else. And I do, but I don't, like I see people and I wonder if they're truly happy, the people who kind of like, who put everything in them into everybody else except for themselves. I feel like some of those people are wore out, they're exhausted, they're tired. I think about, I look at, some of the old grandmas and stuff like that done took care of their kids and took care of their kids and stuff. And they're in their 60s and 70s and they're still taking care of their grandkids and great grandkids and stuff like that. And they tell, I just love my great grandkids. And I wonder if like, are they really happy with that? You know what I mean? or not. I don't know why I went
think
there.
it's a good, everywhere we go is good to go. I think with the parent thing, like, I mean, I'm not a parent right now. I'm a dog dad, but it's not the same. But it's like, you want the best for them. And so by seeing them do their thing, I think you get distracted of your own health and well-being, because all the focus is going there, rightfully so. But also at the same time, you need your things, and there's nothing wrong with getting your attention.
And I think that's where people get it mixed up. I think people think that you can have both. I think people think it's one or the other, and it's actually, you can have both. Like, and I'm a firm believer. That's why I believe in getting up in the morning. I feel like if you get up in the morning and do your thing, then you can give the rest of the world and rest of your kids and your family and stuff the rest of your day. But I feel like you have to start off with taking care of yourself first. You know, like, if you take care of yourself first, like that's what I do. It's like, once I take care of myself, like, I can give my time to everybody else who may need me. But if I only give my time to everybody else, I can't be surprised that I'm burned out, because I may or may not have time in the evening to get back to taking care of me. You know, once I then, worked all day, once I then came home and, whatever your lifestyle is, from this time to this time, cook, clean, kids, homework, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, second job, other hustle, building your franchise, building your business and your brand, whatever it is you're doing. And then now you trying to find time in the evening. Oh, and by the way, your son going to ask you to do this, your daughter going to ask you to do this, your wife and husband is going to ask you to do this. And next thing you know, you don't have time. You never got that time to put in for yourself. And then by the time you get it, and it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and everybody's asleep, well, the first thing you do is go to sleep too. So you never got in your time. So if you start off with taking care of yourself first, we do it anyway when we budget our money. What's the first person that we say do? The first thing that we say do when it comes to our money and we do a budget, the first thing they tell you do is pay yourself first. Put some money in savings. That's the first thing they tell you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I say the same thing when it comes to your life. Pay yourself first. When you wake up the first day, pay yourself, and then give everybody else that, because you're the most fresh, vibrant, all of those things. I have a whole day sometimes before I go in to work. Like right now, I'm gonna do an internship, and I go in at like 8. So if I'm up at 4, like, I get to do, like, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, get dressed, go work out, take a shower, eat, watch TV, check emails, take naps, spend time with Bae, like all of these things in the morning before I go. So by the time I get to work, I done already took care of me. I done had fun. I done did all the things already. Now,
just sitting there daydreaming of what you're missing out on. It's like, no, I got it all checked out.
I'm already done. I'm already done for the day. Yeah, people, I'm going home and do this and do this and do this. I'm like, yeah, go home time and watch the movie with my girl. I'm like, man, we watched the movie this morning. And I watched home, but we've watched movies and we watch TV in the morning because, we get up. You know what I mean? A lot of times.
This all comes down to what you value, right? You're valuing a lot of things, and somebody else, they think they're valuing it, but they're not doing the time investment. So it's questionable if they actually are valuing what's in their life.
So I value me. So people are not going to like that. And here's why. Because people think because I value me that I can't value somebody else. No, I value me. I value you. I value my family. But I value myself because at the end of the day, that's the only person that I can count on. My kids are going to grow away. If my girl decides to leave me, whenever my mom dies, you know what I mean? My sisters, they have her own. At the end of the day, we really only have ourselves. So I invest in me first, and then and maybe not the right word, and then I invest in them. So I don't invest in me and not give them anything. I invest in me and then give them everything else. But because I work out on a regular basis and I eat healthy all the time, I have time and energy to continue to invest in them, even though I've already invested in myself.
Win-win.
Yeah, everybody wins. So, and then I'm not taking away nobody's time because no one's up in the house at 4 o'clock in the morning except for me.
Dude, everybody like doesn't want to be selfish, but you know, everybody loves dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Dogs are the most selfish people out there.
Cats are worse.
Selfish as hell. You know what I mean? It's like, because they want you to feed them, they want you to hang out, and they want you to take them out, play with them, and it's like, it's all for them.
I think cats are worse.
We think we're doing it for them. Like, cats they're pretty mouthy. They're like, give me my stuff.
Yeah, and then they knock stuff over. Yeah, I'd never have a cat. I am definitely a dog person. I would never have a cat.
I got one of each. And the cat runs the show. If the dog's getting too loud, the cat puts him in his place.
What?
And he's a 65, 70-pound pit bull. And the cat takes none of his shit.
Dang. Hey, big ups to the cat.
Right? Right.
Yeah, my dog's only like 4 pounds. So, yeah. And like I said, I'll never have a cat. I get a big dog one day, but not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
You got any stories dying to tell? Or any questions?
No, not no stories. Not right now. Something might come out one day. I got plenty. Just don't have any at the top of my head right now. Yeah.
Well, I guess like, you know, we're both in the coaching space. We're both looking to help men. You know, we've had our own personal journeys and getting over things and continually learning as well. It's like you don't ever get there. And that's what I think, like, I mean, I'm always talking to other people how I want to get coached because you're always learning from each other. We talk about this. It's like everything you can teach me, I can teach you something else as well, you know, and the more we do that and don't feel like, even though we're the ones showing up for ourselves and like you want to rely on yourself, it's like, go ask other people stuff. You can get around, you can reroute the problems and like react better to them and find your space. This is what this is about.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like we always, you know, we always have to build off of each other, you know, I'm 45 and you're 25, but our experiences in life are totally different. So the way you see life and your perspective and view is totally different than mine. So because you see things in a totally different way that I do, you are going to be able to offer certain things that, you know, I may never ever be, that I would never ever be able to see had it not been for you, because only you have walked in your shoes and only you can see it that way. So like for me, I think conversation is probably one of the biggest, one of the greatest things that we can do is just as human beings, just because it just comes down to just learning. And when you talk to somebody, not only do you learn about them, but you learn about life, you learn about their viewpoints, and you learn about things that they have learned or witnessed in their life. Like I told you last week, like I hit a bird, you know what I mean? Like I swatted a bird out of the air, you know, it was come flying at me from the side, and like I just one swipe and knocked it down. It was just a reaction. But then after that, I thought about, you know, I think, you know, we talked about it, but I thought about why was my initial reaction to swat at it versus to move back. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm still thinking about that. I'm still wondering why I had that reaction. I'm not, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, I reacted the way I reacted, but I'm just wondering why did I react like that versus a different way? You know, I'm happy with the results because not too many people say that they can swat an owl out of the sky at 4:30 in the morning with one swipe. So,
and if you don't swipe at him, he's swiping at you.
Oh man,
he's gonna come up with the eyeball.
Yeah, like I literally looked to my right and like we was like looking at each other. It was like, and then like mentally, like if I was a little kid, I just would have been excited. But I was more, I guess, intrigued by how fast our mind works, right? Because like it literally happened in like a split second, all of that. So like I looked, saw him, had to raise my hand. Well, I had to have a thought, then raise my hand and then swat it all just like that, and then actually hit it. I think I was more shocked that I hit it than anything else. You know what I mean? Because
And then you just keep running about your day,
and
and
then
now
I
you're
kept
thinking about
running.
this whole thing.
Yes. And it just happened then. So like when I turned around, it was like probably 2 or 3 minutes later. I probably had about maybe a less than a quarter mile to go before I was turned around anyway. So I was coming back and it was still sitting there and stuff like this. I was just like, I was like, no, don't come back, don't come over here. You know what I mean?
There's probably like, I think I said this to you before, but with that, right? You're taking on that spirit of the wise old owl.
Ooh, I'm cool with that. I'll take it.
Yep. Yeah. Is it like probably some Buddhist or I don't know, some philosophy about that, right? Like the animal dies or the hunters and all that.
Mhm.
It's like you take on that animal
But
spirit.
he lived though, so maybe I didn't get to
Oh, he
see it.
lived. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty
So
sure he
maybe
did because when I went back, he was sitting. Well, he lived because when I came back around and I looked at him and stuff, he was sitting there and like we made eye contact and it was moving his head and stuff. You know what I mean? So and then I went back later on and he was gone. So
then maybe somebody was contacting you. Maybe some sort of message. Who knows? Or maybe it's just some weird owl
yeah.
in mating season or something.
Mm-hmm. But I think when I looked it up, they said it may have been like a young one, a young owl that was like a young owl that was like maybe still learning how to hunt or something like that. So I was like, okay, it is what it is. At least I didn't kill him.
It's kill or be killed out here.
Hey, doggy dog world.